All right, we're back in the home garage with the Mercury 1941 at that. If you don't know, now you know. Big block V8, did some steering modifications. We lowered the nose with the spring and installed disc brakes as well as rear radius rods and coil springs in the back. So it's coming along. We're down to the last aspects of the steering. There's a couple things we're going to discuss, and we're going to try to figure out how to avoid spending $600 for weather report style for a steering drop. You see them. It's like an oval shaped thing with one shaft in, one shaft out, however it works, to drop the steering angle. I don't know. Always on a budget. I got 3 universal joints and a dream. Shall we? All right, let's get into this. I got the glasses cam. We will switch to that momentarily. What I brought was this angle meter. Thanks to our loyal viewers. Somebody sent this and they said, you know, you're probably going to need that. And in fact, today we're going to need it. I probably should have been looking at this while talking to that, or looking at that while talking to this. It's a funny one. Irregardless. There's a little discussion of that. I could say what I want. You get the point. Thanks for the angle meter. These U-joints, they max out at approximately 35 degrees. And that's where the story begins. They sell these steering drops. And I found one that was like 10 inches. That would be perfect. It would go here and it would drop way down. I'd probably tilt it over and lay it in here. That would make it very straightforward. But I'm trying to keep this, you know, I keep spending money, but I keep saying I'm trying to keep this low buck. So there's a few things brought up. Ian, this is going to put a tremendous amount of stress on the chassis by dropping that box down. I kindly disagree. Our drag link is in the same position as ever. The box used to be bolted right through here, probably on top. I drilled that hole. Used to be here, right? So I failed to see how it's still being attached to the chassis and still being in the same orientation there. It's like we didn't spread out the distance to increase more leverage. We merely dropped the grabbing point down to here. You following me? I don't see how that's going to cause this frame to twist. But first thing, we're going to reinforce the chassis. You got holes in here, holes in there. So I made this plate, and this is the factory, well, the kit factory plate to drop that box. And I notched it, set it, a couple clamps. Now the frame is boxed. Then I made this nice triangle here. It's going to reach out to the motor mount plate, like so. So, I mean, that's going to be strong. We'll get into welding that in a bit. The big challenge is the angle of the dangle. This is locked up. That's as angled as it can go. It's got to come to here. Dun, dun, dun. That's right. I can't see without my glasses, but does that look like 45 degrees to you? So yeah, how do we get that to come up to there? Somebody mentioned I'm gonna cut my head open with that thing sticking there, and I appreciate what you said. So There we go. Just not gonna be able to close the door. But that's fine. I'll get some tape and wrap that up. And do you like my custom steering shaft holder upper? Yes, yes. So here at 45 degrees, it does, like, that could work, right? But we're out of room. We need to bring this minimum to like in here somewhere. So you know what I say, just to start off, worst case scenario, we rebuild the steering column with the expensive steering drop, which I could set right in here, down and to the box. $600, hey. Sometimes that's what you gotta do. I spent $1,200 getting the transmission rebuilt. I'm gonna pull this back down. We're gonna see what we can do to shorten that up. We are really cramped right now. It's a beautiful day out there, but rain's on its way, so I've been doing a bunch of work to tidy up the homestead, get the cars. The Zephyr was out in the driveway for a while, but now we're getting a lot of leaves, and it's a record year for acorns up in these hills. There are acorns everywhere. In other news, Jamie's greenhouse is finally built. So over these cold winter months, she'll be able to do her gardening in a secure environment. I'll have plenty of time to goof off with these cars. We're getting our first wave of rain for the season, probably the next 4 days. They say it's going to rain, and we are in the mountains, so there's going to be snow. All right, so we got our steering column. Got all of our things, and then this is where we cut it and changed it. So we're talking getting that U-joint, I mean, up as close as possible. I should have made a mark where this hit the support, but I'm gonna measure from here to there in the car. So from where that bearing lands, actually from where the screw is, to the center of this is 18 inches. So I said from the screw hole, I measured. Okay, so the actual grab on the dashboard is right here. Educated marker. So there's a couple holes here. Why don't we just cut right through that and see what we're dealing with? As I remember, we just pushed all this back together, fixed that, so the U-joint might go there. It's kind of a bummer because our little end detail, it's for the round tube, and this has got an indent, I imagine, where these wires used to travel. Let's just cut this open. Worst case, we're going to take some round and fit that up. Let's take a look. Been really making an effort to get to the swing of things with 2 different locations, so beginning to have 2 kits of tools. Batteries in both places, grinders in both places. If I could get a hardware stock in both shops, it would be a great day. That's all there is to it. Now I remember all the hullabaloo. If you use big words, people take you more serious, right? Like irregardless and hullabaloo. The steering shaft is of a larger diameter than what our U-joints allow. So that's why I ended up cutting this all down. And I imagined I drilled this right here with a hand drill. I bet I could drill it to fit that. This is before I decided on how we were going to steer the thing. These are typically, these are 3/4 inch shaft where the U-joints go. And here, it looks like 7/8. So, I mean, that's 1/8 of an inch. That's a 1/16 of an inch on each side of that. I think we could just eliminate all this messy mess. Big word, 2 syllables. I got a lot of backlash for irregardless. It's the same thing as when people call nuclear weapons nuclear. That's a common thing. Is that how you say it? Irregardless. I digress. So this has a bearing in there. More of just a plastic sleeve. I could probably do anything. I found this one bearing in the shop, so I'm always just looking around for stuff. Nice little unit. Looks like it's for a hand truck wheel or something, and found a piece of tube that it fits in perfectly. And oh, look at that. It fits the 3/4 inch. But that's okay, because in between here and the steering box is 3/4 inch if we need to use that. But since this is plastic, I could just drill that out to the 7/8 as well. Let's experiment. Let's just cut it right here. We got plenty left over. See what fits on this. Looks like it's going to need a little cleanup also, because we might want to save this for something. Let's cut it right here, kind of where the U-joint would go at the moment. So where I'm going with this is if I can make this steering shaft with 3 universal joints, one at the column, one at the box, and one in between, we already have the parts. It's no money, it's just time. Time, that one thing, and then it's out for nobody. Money, you can always get more money. You can always waste money. You start wasting time, no going back. I'm sure our great philosopher Socrates had something to say about time. This is my show, and I can mispronounce whatever I want. 7/8. Let's go. We have a nice box of donated drill bits. Let's go to the drill bit box. Thank you. Look at this, a joy to behold. Do we got a 7/8 in there? We sure enough do. Let's drill the plastic. Oh wait, no, this is. I was riding on this. We're destined for success. Let's drill this to 7/8. This is gonna be fun. Freehand drill. I have a really good vise that bolts to a very substantial base. It's laying on the trailer. I think last time I just clamped this kind of like that and drilled it. Let's try that again. I mean, with a manual steering box, a 7/8 inch steering shaft is definitely an asset. 3/4 inch is pretty much the standard. But hey, more diameter, more fun. Take some of this stuff off of here so we don't shake it all on the ground. So on the top end here, we're gonna need to create a substantial structure because, you know, you use that steering column as the leverage on the wheel to keep it in place, and we just eliminated all that leverage. Wider, well, from the mount, we're gonna have to triangulate outward and I think hit the firewall. I got some stuff to accomplish that. Let's see how this brand new 7/8 drill bit feels. It was pretty easy with the 3/4 inch. This was a double D end, and I drilled that to 3/4 round. We'll put a little anchor lube on this, and the drilling should go smooth. It's good stuff. Oh yeah, this bit cuts. One other thing, the eye muffs. They work great. What are we, 6 years in on these things? They're in their latest batch of development, and they work better than ever. And some have Bluetooth connectivity. Turn on your phone while you're grinding. You listen to your music. Listen to your jams right there. Yeah, this works great. Nice and smooth. Now, how are we getting this perfectly even? Beats me. Universal joint, it can wiggle a little bit. Keep it nice and slow. Keep the juice flowing and let it cut. We're only peeling off a 1/16 inch on each side. We're upsizing it from 3/4 to 7/8. Told you it's going to be exciting. Starting to get into where that threaded area is. It's catching a little bit. Some other engineer probably has, they gave them to us. There's these little V blocks, machinist tools. I could put a V block on that and trap it. Down in the shop, just when I was bragging about having 2 kits. Sorry, I gotta get powered up for this. I think we might have a piece of angle. I don't know what I'm doing. You know what I'm gonna do? No, that's a bad idea. Is it a bad idea or is it a good idea? Here we go. All just to upsize the steering shaft. You're gonna love this one. I just had a little epiphany. And I want to drill through this because it's actually a really neat sign. Did I say drill? All right, so we're back. What I decided was I'm gonna take this piece of wood. It's part of the, made a dog door here. But I put the door, I put the support on the outside, and there's bears. Bears want to come into the garage. Yeah. So I moved the dog door to the inside. This is the leftover wood still screwed to the outside of the house. I digress. We want this to be clamped down. Nice. I'm going to screw this thing right down. That way it won't spin again. You don't need no stinking vise. Now that'll be good until the next bit of friction and the whole thing tears back off. But we're good for the moment. I'll get a vise set up eventually. I've only been building cars for 40-something years. I think I'd figure out how to set up a workshop by now. Yeah, we're just getting to that little area where there's a thread, and that's what's hanging it up. I don't know. Something's changed. That's the right size. Let's keep going. All right, well, I got that started. I'm gonna have to take that to the shop and put it in a good vise. But that's definitely 7/8. I'm gonna put that in the vise and then really work it out. I don't know, all in a day's work. It's interesting because these universal joints, I mean, whatever angle they can work at, they go way past the angle that they were advertised for. I've had some success really just pushing it to the limit. But I think with 3 universal joints we'll be okay. I'm gonna take this one off the car. See what we're working with. See, this is what I was getting at. This one. So, I mean, can we clearance that? See the difference? I would consider that to be a really steep angle. But now for this bearing to come in here, you know, that works great. Maybe we could just hammer this thing. I could probably just put some pliers on it and make it round, or I could put a tube in there and make it round. There's a lot of options. If this was steel, I could just slam that in there. What's our diameter here? It's 1 7/8. All right, desperate times, desperate measures. I got a hammer. I got a socket. Might need a bigger hammer. How about old trusty broken handle? Let's do this. I'm gonna turn this thing around. Yeah, okay. I could live with that. What are we gonna do next? I think we're gonna clearance this a little bit. It could just be the casting. You know, let me try to push this a little bit. I did this buggy once, off-road car, and it had universal joints, it had half shafts, you know, independent rear suspension, and I needed a lot of travel, and I was able to grind this. It's weird, the manufacturers seem the same. The casting is just hitting, and it's just this edge right here. It's not much at all. I could get in there and clearance that. Let's turn on the air compressor. Yeah, it's interesting. This one has a lot more room on the inside of the casting. Let's open this up. Yeah, so that increases the angle like dramatically. Just a little bit of change. Yeah, look at that. It was just like a little thing with the casting. Not that it's going to ever operate at that angle, but whatever we can max it out by just feeling it once everything's set up in the car. You know, you don't want it to feel like it's got tight spots. You want it to rotate evenly. Yeah, so we're pretty much just asking this for everything it's got. I mean, potentially, once we put it in the car, you might not need that big of an angle with 3 U-joints. But let's just clearance them out now before we spin it with the steering wheel and break them. And this really is just, it's cosmetic. You can see how it's created and it's kind of angular. I'm just smoothing it out. Now they match. That's cool. Yeah, it's just a weird scenario with probably just something in the mold left that little bit of extra material, but now they work. So that's 2. Let's see number 3. All right, so that really minimal amount of sanding. I know it was just the castings that were just, you know, whatever quality control. You know the story with the globally sourced product. We got 3 U-joints. We got that. Now to put this back in the car, we're gonna have to create a little more support. Maybe we should take the paint off this so we could put it in the vehicle and weld inside. This will be a hot, sparky adventure. I might just take the seat out. All right, I got the seat out of the way. I got a wrench for support, and the angle of the steering wheel is gonna be a thing. So let's see if I can tap this into place. Spent a little time rounding this thing out, but it doesn't seem like it's enough. I do have that other bearing. Let me try that. Yeah, I'm gonna need to do some work on this. I gotta find the piece of tube this diameter, 1 7/8. This is just gonna break off. No, it's not. There it goes. Yeah, as long as that's in. Be right back. I'm gonna cut this plastic off because we don't need that much. All right, awesome. So I got that bearing to go in. That's secure. Let's bolt this thing up and see what we can work with. Because this used to be the angle of the dangle, but now we're switching it all up. We can flex this dashboard as we need it. Definitely gonna put some more support in here now because we got nothing. We used to have that structure. Now we don't. But being that this is a truck steering column, it is a lot stronger. It's nice. It's heavier than a car thing, so that's good. Just bigger overall. All right, cool. So this is sitting, and what we were saying was we wanted the U-joint, you know, as far up here as possible. Let's tighten this up. Yeah, so that is definitely grabbing strong. But you see how little we're gonna have to support this? With this, we'll have the opportunity to bend the dashboard a little bit to help with that angle. So let's get down and put together, and we're gonna have, you know, maybe an intermediate steering holder, maybe right here. I don't know. Now they got those joints clearanced. Let's go back to the steering box side. So that's the thing. Now we have the spline for the steering box. And then we have the double D steering shaft, and see, now the angles are a lot steeper. But the problem we were having was when I was testing it in the car, you know, this shaft kept falling in, and that was locking it up. So, you know, we want the shaft to be a full bite into there, but we want to get the full angle of the thing as well. Let's see, therein lies some of the reason the steering angles weren't working. Same thing here. We want this to sit in there, but we don't want it to mess up the overall potential of the ultimate angle. Let me twist this a little bit. Just trying to peek in here and see where that piece. See, we just don't want that spline shaft. See right there? We want a full grab, but we don't want it interfering with that when it comes around. So that's definitely grabbing on that spline. I can feel it. That's what we're looking for. So let me take some weight off of these tires with the floor jack because we want it to be a really easy swing. All right, I just took some weight off of these tires. Let's see how this turns. I don't like it. I don't like it. I don't like it. So this is the thing, like what's the maximum angle we can get? That's kind of it right there. Right there it starts to bind. So let's just say coming to the floor of the car, right there at that is too much. It needs to hang lower than that. It needs to sit somewhere right here. Let's try this. Right there works. I'm looking through. Yeah, right there would be a great spot. You lock that up. So I'm trying to get this right on the edge of where that angle really starts to get tough. So yeah, we could see. Oh yeah, no, look at that. So it could work. So that would mean having a bearing somewhere here and then a U-joint on top of that. So I only have one of these bearings. Let me check this camera because the way my day is going, I do have a bunch of other steering bearings as well, but just as a start because it fits that tube. And if I was to put this here, that's a very substantial grab, and I bet this angle will work. I'm gonna cut this right here in the car. I think we're onto something. I think we're jumping the hurdle. I think right horizons are on the horizon. You heard it first. Bright horizons are on the horizon. That's right. Tough day, easy fix. You want that low. Just cut this off right here for now. So now, this can be mounted to the car body and a U-joint can come off of this, if the fates will allow it. Let's get one of them U-joints. So that's double D to double D. This might help explain a little bit when I say double D to double D. This is designed for this steering shaft. We want our maximum amount of angle, so let's just jam it on like that. Right. So in the end, another bearing will be here. And that's what I'm getting at. We're going to attach this below the floor like this. That way if we have to move this that way, it's going to decrease all the angles. And this one, and maximize our angle potential right there, hitting. Lock that up. And that will come up to there. Is that too much of an angle? How do I know? Let's get a, see, this is what I'm getting at. That's why I'm trying to, that's definitely like crazy, like definitely not gonna work, right? And then this might work, or somewhere in between. So let's just take, This is the shortest route. See what I'm saying? It's like, this is going to be the shortest the steering shaft is going to be, right? And then the longest we want, let's get this U-joint and really try to work that out. This might be a two-part thing. I'm starting to get really frustrated with this because I have to drill this hole again. I'm going to turn the camera off and wrestle with that. We'll see how I feel. All right, so I was able to get this joint in place. So here's where we're at. I got that with a set screw temporarily. And, you know, a little bit of a wobble. That'll get welded in because this is cool, but I want cooler. Let's just guess where we want this to fit. This is what we were saying, see? That angle is way too much. But then as we come down to there, you know, see the shaft is getting longer or shorter. So let's just find a medium ground. Let's put it there. Just guess. Right now I'd rather have it a little bit longer, a little bit shorter, because you can't cut it twice. Let's see how these work. We got the glasses in the glasses. Amazing. Save that. Now, who knows? This might slide together, and it might not. That's the beauty and the magic and the allure of custom car building. That's right. Yeah. All this black material makes the part smaller inside. So, I mean, that's actually going to steer, but that's super low. What do we do about this? It's not the stop nut, it's the powder coat. So you see what theory we're working with here? These angles are definitely too tight, but the car is steering. A left turn makes it go left, and a right turn makes it go right. So nothing is binding, even at this angle. So you can see this is very steep. That is not steep at all. So we're gonna find the happy medium. I'm gonna try to source some bearings to support that better. And I think tomorrow you're gonna come back and nail this. It's gonna be a better day. We're gonna make it happen. I'd like to thank our editor for taking out all the cuss words, me throwing tools, yelling at the dogs, etc. See you next time.